Yo, what the hell's up? Welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I absolutely refuse to say the full title of this movie. Last night I saw Birds of Prey, period. This is a movie featuring Margot Robbie reprising her role from Suicide Squad as Harley Quinn, where we pick up with her after she and the Joker broke up. She goes through some hoopla as a result of that and teams up with a few other heroines who coined themselves as the Birds of Prey to take down a crime lord known as Black Mask. So I know I declare this before every single comic book movie that I ever review, but this is my first video review, so I feel like it is important to put it out in the air if you are indeed on one side of the fence versus the other, and you know damn well what fence I'm referring to. I was raised by Marvel fans. My dad was a massive comic book fan, my uncles, my cousins, all of them very huge Marvel comic book fans. I myself never really got into the comics, but I love the characters, love the cartoons, and I've been definitely on the bandwagon of the movies ever since they started the MCU in 2008 with Iron Man. On the other hand, my familiarity with DC Comics is much more limited. I have a basic knowledge of sort of the A-listers, but I never really got into the comics or anything, so basically my exposure to them has been widely the movies. And the DC movies up until this point are, well, kind of hit and miss. Obviously, Christopher Nolan's Batman films were fantastic, Wonder Woman was great, Aquaman and Shazam were pretty damn good. It's really been the team-up films, the ensemble films, where I feel, and I don't think I'm alone in that, I feel like they faltered a bit, which frankly isn't uncommon to any film franchise. The larger ensemble and the larger plot and cast and characters you get, the harder it is to hone in on each of those characters and give them their time in the limelight. I mean, that's just storytelling. Marvel is not immune to this criticism either. The X-Men, I don't care for the X-Men because there's too damn many of them. So when DC Comics took a step back from creating its ensemble films and started making the solo films, I was like, okay, this is good. Let's take a step back. Let's build up these characters, and then if you want to bring them together, do that. But focus on the characters, and that's what they were doing. And I remember a few years ago when they announced that Harley Quinn was going to be getting her own movie, I'm like, great! Harley Quinn is an interesting character. Her dynamic with the Joker, that's an interesting thing to explore. She deserves her own movie. That could stand on its own. I don't know if that movie is ultimately coming or if it got replaced with this Birds of Prey movie, but I was kind of bummed when I heard that it was getting mashed together with another unit, because it's just going to be Suicide Squad all over again. A big ensemble, and it can't stay focused. I went in cautiously optimistic. And I gotta say that this movie had some merit to it. The cinematography was good, especially the color palette. It was a very vibrant film. I also appreciated the tone. Overall, it was a very self-aware movie. A lot of fourth wall breaks. It never took itself very seriously. It kind of understood what it was, and it never really tried to be anything differently for the most part, and you gotta appreciate that. It was just an overall fun movie. It had some very great action sequences that were fantastically choreographed. Margot Robbie did an outstanding job as Harley Quinn. She really does capture the insanity of that character. The other three Birds of Prey actresses did a fine job as well, and Ewan McGregor did a fine job as Black Mask. I mean, I'll get into him later, but you could tell he's having fun and he had a lot of charisma, so, I mean, it was just a fun movie. However, the worries that I had going in were not absolved while watching this movie. This movie was indeed a very convoluted story. The first negative thing to note on the story is that it's told from Harley Quinn's perspective, which, you know, she's a mentally insane person, so naturally she's very scatterbrained, kind of all over the place, and the film does that. It kind of portrays that, and it'll be like, she'd be telling the story right here, then she'd forget something, and then it would go back to this, and it kind of jumped around like a weird Tarantino kind of thing going on. I get that that would be the case if Harley Quinn was narrating, but accuracy doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily work. On that note, the fact that it's Harley Quinn narrating, it is generally her story, so it's very odd that it's a Birds of Prey movie technically, and in the long, obnoxious fine print of this movie, then it says that it's a Harley Quinn story. That should have been flipped, because Harley Quinn was definitely the main character of this story, and the Birds of Prey were not. The Birds of Prey were not the marquee item here. In fact, it really just glosses over a lot of their backstory, which is unfortunate because some of the backstories that they mentioned, they kind of show a little bit through flashbacks, but I was watching like, I want to see that whole damn movie. Like, why are we just getting kind of bits and pieces? Like, I want more. But more never came. Another thing with the story and the tone and everything, while I did appreciate that it was a very fun movie, it was not very funny. I mean, honestly, like looking back, I think that Ewan McGregor's Black Mask is probably the funniest character, not even Harley Quinn, which is odd. Going back to Black Mask, he was also another con of the movie. He was very thinly written. You're not seeing his motive or anything. He's just a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. And the last gripe that I have with the film is the soundtrack. I really didn't enjoy how many songs in the film had vocals and lyrics and actual words. It's good to have those here and there, but sometimes it's good to just have an instrumental, a subtle soundtrack underneath it, which is far less distracting. All in all, when you weigh all the factors though, I would say the good and the bad equal out to be just a very down-the-middle average movie. I'm going to give Birds of Prey a C. Certainly not the best thing that the DCU has cranked out, but certainly not the worst. It's kind of right there in that purgatory area. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel to stay up to date on new reviews coming real soon. Thanks for checking in.